And then when you click on that, up at the top, it says effects.
Oh, streaming failed for LinkedIn. Shoot. All right. Well, we're live.
Somewhere.
We are live. I am testing one stream, so I'm not sure what just happened there, but I'll have to figure it out after we are done. And I just wanted to test it out. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for coming. How are you, Rick?
Happy New Year. I'm good. How are you?
Very, very good. All right. Today we have a fun topic. We're going to be quick, short, to the point today. Lots going on with the new year, so we want to just talk fast. But today we want to talk about New Year's resolutions. Everybody always makes these crazy big New Year's resolutions and then kind of crashes and burns, probably about now or maybe beginning of February if you're really good. So what we want to talk about is doing a New Year's revolution instead of resolution. And my thought process on that is, I heard this the other day, so I don't want to give myself credit. I don't remember where I heard it, but I love the idea of a revolution instead of a resolution. And so for an email that I did, I looked up the definition, which I don't have in front of me, but it's basically, making like a massive, massive change. And so we talk about this a lot in here is, if we want to accomplish whatever it is that we want to accomplish, we have to be somebody that we're not today, because otherwise we'd already be there.
Right.
So that's kind of where I wanted to go with this topic. You want to go first?
Well, why don't you kick things off since it was your topic today, and then I'll jump in.
All right. So basically where I was going with the whole thing was take a little bit of a reflect and figure out, all right, where was I last year? Now that could be December, but, really like January of last year even. Figure out where you were January of last year. What all amazingness did you do throughout the year? And how did you grow throughout the year? Because that's going to give you the confidence and kind of the momentum to move on to this year. So what you want to figure out is where I am right now. Where do I want to be at the end of this year? And what do I need to do to get there? And almost 99.999% of the time, it's you that needs to change. You need to change your mindset. You need to change, how you're looking at things. Otherwise, you'd already be there, right? So you need to add either skills or maybe a little bit more productivity or, a twist to what you're doing or add more, whatever it is. So figure out kind of what you need to do and then maybe habit stack. All right, how can I start doing that? How can I become the person that I need to be at the end of 2023?
Yeah, and two quotes come to mind, and the first one, I don't remember who's credited with this quote, but if you keep doing what you've always been doing, you'll keep getting what you've always been getting. And then, of course, there's the Albert Einstein quote. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. And I don't like just throwing out quotes without action behind them. So I was thinking about those basically over the weekend, over New Year's weekend, and even before that, even leading up to New Year's weekend, because I don't set resolutions, because that's always it's like going on a diet, right? And if you're going to go on a diet, that means you're going to temporarily change your eating habits. I mean, that's really the definition when you go on a diet, is to temporary. Temporary. And that's ineffective because, then you revert back to your old habits and, things go back to the way they were. And instead, instead of going on a diet, if you change your diet, then that's where the difference happens. Talking about the revolution versus the resolution. And an example from my own life, years ago, and I mean 10 years ago or more, over the course of the past 10 years ago or more, I've purchased multiple guitar equipment, learning tools, a bunch of different stuff to learn guitar. However, what I never did was set aside time to learn guitar. And you can't learn it by osmosis. You can't, purchasing these things does not help you accomplish the goal, right? The tools don't accomplish the goal for you. You have to take the action. And I committed over the holidays to set aside time, and I committed to 30 hours, 30 minutes a day to learn guitar. And I found a an online training course from the company Fender, the guitar manufacturer Fender. They offer an online course. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it, and I have with with a couple of exceptions, where I was preparing for Christmas or something like that. But aside from basically 3 evenings out of the past 2 weeks, I've committed a minimum of 30 minutes per evening to learning guitar. And
Awesome.
while I'm not jamming with the Stones anytime soon, I can actually see noticeable progress from when I started.
And you're not jamming with the Zoom. With the
But my point is, I've had all this equipment for years, sitting there taunting me. The guitar, one guitar was in my office and one guitar was in my room, and they were taunting me like, "Ha, yeah, you're never gonna do it, never gonna do it." And I'm like, you know what? If I keep doing what I've been doing, then you're right. I'm not gonna do it, but I'm gonna make the change, and I did it. And it's all small incremental change. I committed to 30 minutes a day. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's an hour and a half. Depends on my evening and how things are going. But stuck to a minimum of 30 minutes a day. I made that commitment and I've stuck to it, and I'm making progress because of that. And I think that's the important thing, the important takeaway when it comes to whether it's a New Year's resolution or a July resolution or whatever the case may be. When you want to make a change, you have to take the action to make that change, and you have to do it in a way that you're committed to it and not just temporarily, like going on a diet.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because I agree with you. That is the big thing, is that all of a sudden, we're somewhere where it's not as easy to like with diets, my favorite. Sometimes we're like somewhere where it's not as easy to say yes to that diet. So one of the things that I think you and I both love, Tony Robbins, but one of the things that he's really big on is discipline and being able to, I call it power of the mind. He says, just controlling your thoughts and stuff, and your thoughts control your behaviors. And I think that it's really important for us to understand why it is that we're doing whatever it is that we want to do. Because if it's not important enough to us and to what we're doing, we're not going to end up doing it. And so figuring out, okay, what is it that I really want to get done and why? And then how can I make that happen? And like you said, make it a permanent fix in my life instead of something that is just like a fleeting temporary thing.
Right. Exactly.
I'm totally with you. I think I've tried like every diet. Even when I was like really thin, I don't know why, I was just like fascinated with diets. I used to like try and I think that's what made me fat, No, just kidding. I don't know. But my point is, I think that, all that like wishy-washy, it's like being on the fence. It's like not going all in. And when you really decide to do something and you know why you want to do it, for you, for example, I don't know what your why is, but I know for one thing, like if you can be very creative in one part of your life, that's going to trickle into all the rest of your life. And as an entrepreneur, being very creative, doing the guitar, it is going to bump up, how awesome you are in your entrepreneurial stuff, if that's a word. So I think that, even if that was your why, just, it doesn't have to be that. It could be something, I just want to do it for myself for fun because that's what I've been, trying to do for all these years or whatever. But I just think having a real something tied to it helps a lot, and definitely trying to figure out, what that result is going to look like and kind of envisioning that result. Like you said, playing with the Stones. Okay, you're probably not seeing yourself on stage with the Stones, but maybe you see yourself in your living room, with your son and actually playing a Stones song that sounds, decent enough to play in front of somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I mean, he's been taking guitar lessons. He is actually doing in-person guitar lessons at a local music shop. And he's been doing it. It's coming up on a year that he's been doing that.
Ah.
And, obviously his schedule is different than mine, but he has a 30-minute lesson per week, and then he practices on his own outside of that. I'm like, let's see, if he's progressing like he's progressing just a 30-minute lesson per week, then if I commit to 30 minutes a day, then I should be able to make significant progress. And that's not in a competitive, in a race type way. It's literally just, I should be able to make significant progress, and it will be a cumulative progress, because as I get better, then the improvement will speed up. The rate of improvement will speed up. And then going back to keeping it simple, go back to the 7 Habits from Stephen Covey. So blending into my background there, but but there's the time matrix hierarchy in there. Oops, there. Wait. Oh, it's right there.
Are you reading that book, or why do you have it sitting next to you?
Because I was using it for reference for something else. But there's that simple quadrant, and it's basically prioritizing your tasks, your to-dos, your stuff that you have going on, right? Because there's urgent and important, like that it has to be done, and it's important that it gets done. Like strategic planning for the year, right now, that's urgent and important because it is the beginning of the year. So if you're going to plan for the year or for the quarter or whatever it is, it's urgent because it's happening now. It needs to get done, and it's important. Then there's urgent but not important. Like the sink is leaking, got to be fixed, but it's not important to the big picture. But right. It is urgent. Or from business perspective, the customer service issues or emails, like it's urgent, it needs attention, but it's not important in the sense that it's not driving the business forward. Then there's not urgent but important, and then there's not urgent, not important. Like cleaning out your email inbox is not urgent and it's not important. It's annoying, but it's not urgent, not important. So if
trying to figure out. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to kind of wrap it up with, if you figure out which quadrant it fits into, then it'll help you structure your list and prioritize your list so that you're spending as much time as you can in that urgent, important quadrant, and even some time in the not urgent but important quadrant where you're planning, but that's where you're planning ahead. You're kind of ahead of the curve at that point.
Yeah, what is it that they say 1 hour of planning is equal to like 8 hours of work? And so right. Make sure that you calculate that in. I think that's a huge thing. I think for me, like 2 of the big things, planning, I kind of lump this all into productivity, but time management, planning, all of that, I think is a huge part of becoming somebody else and working on being, somebody that you're not right now, because mm-hmm. The more efficient we can get in what we're doing and the more dialed in, like what you were saying, figure out exactly what those power activities are that can move you forward in your business and start doing them, and do them first thing in the morning, do them every day, whatever it is that you need to do, just go all in on that and move that forward. If that's 10 minutes a day, it's 10 minutes a day, but at least you're moving a little bit in it. Right. And I think for me, the most powerful way to become somebody that you're not is to make sure that you know exactly what it is that you want to do. So whether that is, lumped into productivity or, playing the guitar, whatever it is, if you have 0 time, make sure you do it at least 5 minutes. Everybody has 5 or 10 minutes. So no matter what it is that you're focusing on, make sure that every single day you do it at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes, give yourself like a law, but a minimum amount of time that you're focusing on whatever that task is, because I think that's the way to really move forward and to change who you are. And if it's exercise, we talk about the 2-minute rule, do 2 minutes, if that's what it is, putting your sneakers on, it is, but make sure that you're moving somewhere in the direction of.
Absolutely. But if you're doing one of those, like giving yourself 5 minutes, don't do it in a way that's procrastinating. Oh, well, let me adjust this just the right way, and let me put this here, and doing like, oh, time's up. Okay.
No,
actually,
no. Yeah, priority, do your priority list first and know what that activity is. Know exactly what that one activity that will actually move the needle is.
yeah, the
And
specificity is important.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right, so have a New Year's revolution instead of a resolution. Take activity action today would be figuring out what at least one activity that you can do in your business to move you forward. Figure out what that one activity is and make sure you do it every single day to move you forward.
And you can
Anything?
either make one big change or make small incremental changes, like I did with the guitar. But make a change. Don't go
Yeah,
on a diet. Change your diet. Don't don't make a temporary change. Obviously, there's exceptions, but don't make a temporary change to try to make a lasting change. Make a
exactly.
lasting change, and again, small incremental steps will get you there. Or if you want to go all in and make one big change, but then you've got to really be committed to it, because our minds as humans are going to want to revert back to the old ways because it's comfortable, and you're going to have to fight that.
And that's why habit stacking is so powerful. If you do like what you're saying, Rick, those incremental changes, you don't even realize, you start doing 5 minutes a day, then the next week you're doing 10 minutes a day, or, some days you're doing an hour and some days you're doing 10 minutes, but that 10 minutes is standard. The next week it's 15 minutes standard. And then some days you're doing, 30 or 40, and some days you're doing 15.
Yeah.
But if you can add it in incrementally in small steps, it will become part of what you are, who you are, and what you're doing. And that's really the way to make that massive change.
100%, yeah, and, because it's a slippery slope that we walk, right? So when you're trying to make the change, the smaller you make those incremental changes, the less steep the slope is. You're still going up the hill. When you're making the change, you're still walking up a hill. The more gradual you make, the easier it'll be, but it's still a hill no matter what. You can't flatten it out. But reverting back is really easy to slide back down the hill.
I haven't heard our third
Oh.
companion in a while.
Yeah, she wanted attention. I wasn't giving her attention because we're on live. So she's like, "Okay, squeak, squeak, squeak."
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, wrapping it up. Thank you so much for today. Sorry we were late. I was playing with the one stream, and we will see you back next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, same time, same place.
Take your new year by the horns. Have a great
Ooh,
day.
love it. See you then. Bye bye.